Hello guys, and welcome back to another Jonah Central tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a ripped paper texture on whatever ground texture you're using for your planes or cubes or spheres, whatever's up. So I deleted the default cube and I added a plane here, and I created a little concrete material. As you can see, it's a simple node setup, but it's a node group that you can just customize whatever. I'm not going to be customizing it. I thought it was fun to make a node group. So to get your paper texture, start in by adding a mix shader node and putting it in front of whatever ground material you're using. In my case, it's this concrete node. And then you're going to want to create a you want to add in a principled BSDF shader, and you want to then go to texture, add in an image texture, and load in your paper texture. Now if I show you this paper texture here, as you can see, I've got 3 pieces of paper just chilling on the plane. The black space is actually transparent. It's just that in Blender it shows up black unless you tell it to be transparent. So put this into the base color of the principled BSDF, and if you just put this into the surface for a bit, you can make your paper a bit rougher. You can add your own displacements. I'm not going to do anything because it's just a tutorial. So now you can mix these together, and as you can see, we got a half concrete, half paper material. And that looks kind of weird. I mean, you can play around with it, but what are you going to do with this? So to get it to actually be paper on top of the concrete, you want to take the alpha of the paper picture, use it as the factor of the mix shader, and then as you can see, it puts the paper on top of the concrete. It's because the black I told you on the paper PNG was actually transparent, and we're saying whatever's transparent be this, whatever's not transparent be this. And if this is the base color we're using for the principled BSDF, it's going to look like the papers are on top. So now we can add in a mapping node and texture coordinates here. You could use UV or generated. I'm just going to use generated. But I'm going to increase the scale to about 4 for the X and Y. And as you can see, cool, we got papers on the ground, but you can tell it's looping, and it's seamless, but it just doesn't look that good. So to get it to look all ripped and whatever, add in another mix shader, and use this mix shader as the top shader, and then use just your ground texture as the bottom shader. And once this texture loads, as you can see now, you can control it between the paper and concrete and just the normal concrete. So if you add in a noise texture and a color ramp, plug the noise texture into the color ramp, maybe turn the detail up on the noise texture, plug the color into the factor. As you can see, it's still not looking great once it loads in, of course. But if you make these values a bit tighter, as you can see, some of the papers start disappearing. It's very select few, but you can play around with these values until the papers start looking ripped. You could just change this to constant. That might be a bit easier to make it very sharp, ripped edges. I'll just do that for the sake of simplicity. But as I drag this down, you can see the papers are receding. Now if I increase the scale and the noise textures, you can see it's a lot more smaller rips going on, and I can just customize this. Let's go with that. And as you can see, we have now officially created a really good looking ripped paper texture on the ground, and you can play around with this, do whatever you want, but it works for any texture. Like, I did make this concrete node, but I also made a hardwood node and a metal node, and I'm going to just show you how you can literally use it for anything. So as you can see, it's now on the hardwood material I made. So now I'm going to show you on the metal. But as you can see, it works on every kind of material, and I could play around with the settings I made on this metal node. And as you can see, the paper stays the same, and you can just customize every material. But that is how you get a ripped paper texture on top of any ground texture you've made. And it's really helpful. It's good for making like city streets or creepy houses, whatever you do. But that's how you do it. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps out for one of your future projects.